Just give me some, just give me something to start with. A little rest is fine. I'll give you many hours, a minute at a time. I don't care where you came from, but I want you to know I may have to start over. I'm learning as I go. When I'm done, I'll be the one to take you down the road. We'll leave behind our troubles, and everyone will know.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, May 18th, 2026. And I love that song. I know I've been using that as my intro now on the live streams. I think it tells such a great story, as I've talked about before. And I've got a regular video of that on my channel, representing my restoration of my grandfather's Model A that I did 20 years ago. So I'm going to keep using that, I think. I do have the other one available if I want to use it, where it's just me, working on stuff. But I just, even with the Mustang, I think it tells a really great story of what we all experience. And I know I can't talk about it enough, because we all become attached to these cars. And I don't care if you're a Ford guy, a Chevy guy, a Dodge guy, whatever. We think about the times where our parents, or maybe a brother or a cousin or somebody, had a car that we connected with. Somehow we got attached to it. And eventually over time you see those cars falling apart or going into disrepair. And you just think, well, if I had just something I could, if I could just start working on it, maybe I can save it and maybe I can bring it back to its glory. And that's kind of the idea there. So I can't emphasize it enough. It's such a strong connection. And I know that the limitations on this are, it's on my channel. It's a song I wrote, but I didn't write the melody. It's written by AI and sung by AI. So I can't produce that, I guess, is the way the copyright laws say. So it is what it is at this point. I will say that here in Georgia, it is hot. The last couple of weeks, we've had some decent weather, and, it's been comfortable. Not today. Today, we are currently at the high of 87 degrees. 87. And it's going to be this way the rest of the week. Lows are in the mid-60s, and then pushing 90 into next week. In fact, we'll be in the 91. So, time to close the garage door, turn on the mini split, and get some air movement, cool air going in here. Now, I know that there's been a lot going on, as you all know. I'm dealing with a lot of different things in life at the moment, and I tend to take things as they are. I don't get worked up generally. I don't get excited. I don't get typically don't get angry over things. And a lot of that is the fact that I've expressed, you get angry over something, it really doesn't help anything. When you see me frustrated, getting a problem with a car I'm working on, and a lot of people say, how do you remain calm? Well, getting angry doesn't change what you're dealing with. And so I've always kind of taken that attitude, pretty low key. I've talked about it. You already know my mom passed away about 3 weeks ago now. I guess it's closer to 3.5 weeks. So, we're going to be addressing some services for her later this month. I will be traveling back to Pennsylvania, spending time with family and friends, and doing this, our part of celebration of Mom's life. There's been other things going on, of course. You can see over here, there. I posted some pictures on. I hear a vehicle outside. I posted some pictures and stuff on Facebook. My daughter was involved in an accident and damaged the front of her Honda CRV. And so last week, that's what I've been working on, was trying to get it back on the road rather than have the insurance company total it. And then I have to go find another vehicle and pay the ad valorem tax and sales tax or whatever and all that junk that you have to deal with. So I'm rebuilding her car. I've got it probably 90% finished. I've got the hood on it. I've got the bumper cover. Everything's painted. I keep pointing the wrong way. Everything's painted. Bumper cover is mostly assembled. I'm waiting on a pair of headlights to show up. And I also need the seatbelt to come back from the restoration place, and also the crash module or the control module that makes the airbag operate. So all that's getting redone, reset, and hopefully it's here within the next couple days. I think the headlights will be here tomorrow. And if that's the case, then I can get those in, at least have that much assembled. I can probably I'll test fit the bumper cover, but I can't fully assemble it yet because the center section above the painted part was busted as well. So that part is coming, and it's going to take a little while. I am making a video on this process, and I'm not doing a normal video that I would stop and talk about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and everything else. I'm doing it like a time lapse, so you'll be able to see just what I do, and I may talk over some of that. I may put music to it. I don't know yet, and just showing the procedures that I'm going to go through or I went through to put this thing back together. So the other thing that I have to think about is whether I can do the air conditioning. Normally I would send something or take it to a friend of mine who's got a shop and say, hey, can you charge this system? And I don't know if I can do it. I do have a vacuum pump now, and so I can at least vacuum down the system, but I don't know. I know you're supposed to weigh out like the refrigerant and put it back in based on some sort of math, but I don't know what the numbers are on this vehicle. So I'm debating on whether I'm going to do that or not, or just take it to my buddy and just, hey, charge this up and let's be done with it. So that's the only hindrance that I'm going to probably have, is getting that the AC charged up. So anywho, that's what I've been working on. And also, before we get too far along, I texted Sal today because TCI is remaking the headers for what they sell, the Mustangs. And I texted Sal because he had told me that the headers were good and they were ready to go. And I had sent him a picture with basically my hand between the starter on the car and the frame rail. And I said, did you check this to make sure it's going to clear? And he said, he thinks it'll clear. Well, he went and bought 3 starters, one for the 6R80, one for the 10R80, and one for a 6-speed manual car, and put those in. I texted him today, and I said, did you get it figured out? He says, yes, sir. The first run is in line for production, hoping by early to middle of June to ship. And I said, great. I've had lots of people asking about them. And then he sent me some other pictures, which I'm not gonna share those, of his product line for that. And so hopefully everything goes smooth. And as I say, I'm hopeful that he's going to send us or me a set of headers, and I can do a video on that, that product. So it'll show that they fit, hopefully, and that I can endorse TCI. So far, they've been very helpful in everything that I've, conflicts that I've had, and open to suggestions, which is fantastic. And I understand that they want to sell products. They don't want to have negative publicity, and they want to have endorsements, and that's fine. If it's a good product, I will endorse it, as you all know. And if there's something wrong with it, I also tell you that as well, because I don't play around. I'm not paid by anybody. I'm not under any contracts with any companies for me to endorse any product. I guess that's a good thing. It would be nice if somebody came along and said, hey, we want to give you this and, you know, a new engine, drivetrain, all this other stuff if you endorse it. But I haven't had that offered to me. So who knows? Maybe one day I will, or not. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Okay, so let's get started tonight. We're going to see who's the first one in, and that is Ed Cucciarella. Hello all. Time for cars and coffee. Whoops. Thank you, Ed. And Ed is checking in from California, where I'm sure gas is probably $7 a gallon now. Rick Stevenson. Good evening, everyone. I'm on the road right now. Sorry I won't make the live stream tonight. I hope that everyone has a fantastic week. See you all next Monday. Maybe. I don't know if I'm going to be here Monday, but I'm glad Rick checked in. And usually Rick is my sign for my first sip of coffee. So, there we go. Thank you, Rick. Of course, next Monday is Memorial Day weekend. So, just so you know. Okay. Rick Gain, 95 in New Jersey right now, feeling very thankful for air conditioning. Air conditioning in S10 now works as well, $150 repair, as opposed to the $3,800 the dealer wanted. Well, that's awesome. Good. I'm glad that's fixed. Terry Keithley, stormy evening, everyone. Please hit the thumbs up and like button for Barry. Thank you kindly, Terry and Betty and the cats. Stay safe, everyone. Yes, by all means. We had some high winds yesterday. We had my granddaughter had a dance recital at a local high school, and we walked outside afterwards, and trees were blowing all over the place, and it was a panic mode for a second there because we didn't know if there was a big, tornado coming or something, but it calmed down, thankfully, and we were able to get out of there. Dave Tyson, good evening all. Evening, Dave. Glad you're here. Hey, Matco man. Hello, everyone. Hello, sorry. Everyone is staying cool, and be glad that you were not the one driving the Mustang over the auction block. Accurate. I posted a picture on Facebook, and it was 70 Mustang. I don't know if it was actually, it was a Mach 1. I've heard a rumor it was a 428, but I don't think it was a 428 car. I don't know for sure. But apparently at Mecum, at the Indiana auction, they were bringing this Mach 1 across, for everybody to bid on. And the story was the throttle stuck. And whoever was driving it launched it into a pole and mangled it. Now, I've had a lot of people respond to that. Lots and lots and lots of people. That picture, that post on Facebook, has over 1 million views, which is astounding to me. I just don't understand how all this works. So that has 1 million views on it. I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of comments or whatever. But a lot of people, they default to, why didn't they shut it off? Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? Let me tell you what. I don't know who they have operating these vehicles. But generally, if you're driving a vehicle and it's come to auction, number one, you're assuming, and I know assume, that it's roadworthy, it's functional, it's ready to go. And they may do some testing. I don't know. They may actually do a check on it. Does it have brakes? Does it do this? Does it do that? I don't know. I've never been to one of these auctions. However, people want to quickly say, well, why didn't they shut it off? Why didn't they kick it in neutral? Why didn't they push in the clutch? Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? Well, here's the thing. If they're using anybody, let's say, who's under, 30, 40 years old, most everybody in that time period, in that younger bracket, has only driven vehicles that have like ABS brakes, right? They're not familiar with the layout necessarily of how these things are. They know that they can start it, put it in gear, and who knows, the throttle spring may have broken. I don't know what the whole scenario was, but I've been in that situation. Now, I knew what to do. I was working on a 68 Mustang Fastback at our body shop that had I don't know what the engine was. It was a big block. I don't know if it was a 390 or a 428. I really don't remember. but it had 2 4-barrels on it. And that thing was a beast. Now, the problem was I didn't work on it. Somebody else worked on it. And I was testing it. I was taking it out to drive. And so I was just giving it gas. I wasn't stomping the gas. I was going through the gears. And what happened, I don't even know what happened. Essentially, the first carburetor went to a certain point, and the throttle connecting rod to the next carburetor, there was something going on there that it was not bent right, or it was out of position. And it's basically, once it got to a certain point, it actually pulled the throttle over, and it took off. I mean, it went to red line. And like I said, I knew quickly, shut it off, because I have experience with that stuff. So when these young people, or anybody who's not been around this stuff, they're used to ABS brakes, where you hitting the brakes and the thing's actually trying to stop. Who knows how good the brakes were on this thing? I don't know. But it's easy for people to sit back and say, well, you woulda, coulda, shoulda. Well, yeah, let's put you in that situation and see what happens. See how quick you respond without knowing that this car is going to launch, and you've got people in front of you, and you don't. All you're doing now is you're staring at maybe people running out of the way. You don't even know where this ignition switch is now. Your mind is exploding, and probably the smart choice in this case, the person drove it into a pole instead of driving it through a crowd. So everybody wants to be the Monday night quarterback, right? And say, oh well, if I was doing it, I would have done this. Yeah, right. That's easy to say whenever you're not the one behind the wheel and dealing with it. Tell me I'm wrong. That's a bell. Okay. Mr. Mikey, present and listening with my new ear. Glad to hear in stereo once again. It's been a year since I lost the left side eardrum. Ouch. That doesn't sound appealing at all. What I do know is my right ear is so bad that if I'm somewhere and there's a loud event going on, I can plug my left ear, and it's almost like just shutting them both off. So I understand where you're coming from. There's an extra bell if I didn't give it to you. Steve Reed, hello Barry and everyone. Hope everyone's doing great. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up for Barry. Thanks, Steve. And we have Dawn Gilly, 3630. I think that's a new person. I haven't seen that name. Let's talk. Let's do that. Oh, and by the way, if you're new to my live stream, I didn't bring this up yet. I tend to talk about cars between 1955 and 1980. If you don't already know, I grew up in a junkyard. I've been around cars my whole life, and I'm a car guy, not necessarily a Ford or Chevy or Dodge. I'm a car guy. So if you have something you want to talk about or you have a question, I encourage you to be part of that and bring it up, and we can all be involved. George Crackle, hello Barry and the gang from Southeast Michigan. Thumbs up, everyone. Thank you, George. And I hope the emails worked out that we talked about. I know you had sent me an email previously. Pat Attic, good evening from PA. Good evening, Pat. Travis Holtman, good evening all. A guy I've met is building a 69 Fastback about the same way I am, and we are going to work together on both builds. Keep us both accountable. Looking forward to tonight's chat. Well, that's awesome. Travis is one of my top patrons, so thank you, Travis. I appreciate that. That's great. I'm glad you found somebody that you can bounce off of in that sense. David, the Bowler Hat guy. Hello, all. Good evening, Barry. Good evening, David. And Troy Justin. Hey, hi, Barry and gang. I'm back in Georgia this week and ready to get our chat on. Unfortunately, I haven't gotten a lot done on the Mustang this past week. Yeah, I know. That's kind of where I've been. But I've had so many other things going on. And I'm really, as I said, I'm hoping that Sal gets those headers built and gets them sent our way so we can get moving on this Mustang. Nandu, good evening, Barry and everyone. Hope you're doing good. Thank you, Nandu. And I think I am doing pretty good. Not that it matters, but the next time we do a live stream, whenever, if it's not next week, if it's the week after, I'll be a year older then. So just so you know. So for now, I'm doing good. Art Man, good evening from Minnesota. Welcome, Art. Glad you're here. Dave Conville, good evening. I can't get over how much the AI voice sounds like Alison Krauss. I agree. I mean, it does sound really good. Glad you're here, Dave. Troy, it's hot. It's not hot here in coastal Georgia also, and it's going to be that way until October. Welcome to the South. Wait, I'm sorry, it's hot here. Why did I say not? It's hot here in coastal Georgia also, and it's going to be that way until October. Yeah, and I'm not jealous at all. We'll be dealing with it. James, my Mustang Garage. Good evening, everyone. And if you haven't checked out James's channel, please do. I mean, he's doing a great job going through pieces and parts and assembly and all that stuff for his 67 Mustang. So if you haven't checked them out, please go check out my Mustang Garage. Gig'em Garage, good evening from Dallas. Kevin Barth here. I guess thumbs up for Barry, everyone, not things up. Autocorrect. Hope all are doing well. Thank you, Kevin. Glad you're here. Let's see. We have Troy says, my hat's off to Sal. It's unique to find a company that stand by their product, just go above beyond, and redesign it is amazing. I would buy from TCI. You know, and that's, I think, part of the incentive for obviously him to go through this, because I'm just a little wheel in a big cog. But the reality is, I still influence, whether, you know, it's a small scale or big scale, I still influence. And we ran into this with Mustangs to Fear as well, with the roll bar, and they came through and fixed it up, took care of it. So it's in their best interest, really, to make a good product, obviously, and have somebody like me come out and say, hey, look, this thing is fantastic. They can't go wrong. You know, I've got whatever 70-some thousand subscribers, but that's in their benefit to make it happen. We have Hugh. Hello, Barry. I made it. Thanks for replying to my email. I hope you like the pictures I sent you. Yeah, and you know what? Hugh sent me some pictures. So here it is. And what he did, he said, this is his shop dog. And so, you know, it's nice to have a shop dog. And that's a big dog. I don't know. I just said, I'm just decided I'm going to share these because I really like the car and the pig and the dog. So look at that. That's awesome. That's awesome. Kind of makes you miss our dog and dogs. We've had several. But I'm glad you're here, Hugh. He also says, we live on the edge of town. 3 days ago, a guy flew past my house in a 2024 Mustang Shelby. He was going at least 100, 120 going into town. It's a 35 miles per hour zone. Lost control of the car and hit a pole. Luckily, it stopped before he got into town. It's a college town, so lots of college kids out on a Friday night. Come to find out, he had a seizure, and his foot was on the gas. Scary moment. That is scary. That is very scary. You know, and that's another situation where and I'm not defending or attacking anybody, but we see something happen on the road, or we see something happen at an intersection, or just different things. And immediately, like you saw this, anger, right? You're like, oh, what are you doing? This is my town. This is my road. This is all this stuff. And in this situation, guy was out of control because he just was out of control. And we're always quick to jump to that default mode of anger. And like I talked about earlier, you know, something goes wrong and you want to get mad and smash things, whatever. And it's easy to get to that. I know there's been scenarios that even my Where you've seen videos of somebody driving down the road, and they're just locked, and they're just driving, and they're like, they go through off the road, and they're plowing through a fence, and people are like, "Oh, this drunk driver, look what they're doing. He's destroying this. Doesn't even care. Blah blah blah." And you come to find out the person was a diabetic, and they were having a diabetic seizure, and they couldn't control what they were doing. But it's again, we always default to the extremes instead of maybe researching a little bit and trying to get answers. But you said you haven't had any updates on him. Well, that's scary. That is truly scary. So let's see here. Julian, when something like that happens, it's a matter of time and space. If you're set back in the seat, you may not have time at all. Yeah, that's talking about the Mustang. Accurate. That is accurate. Nobody's expecting that to happen. If you drive a modern car, when have you ever had the throttle go to full throttle, except for something like the Toyotas or something that had that issue? But I'm just saying, it's a fly-by-wire system. If you drive a modern vehicle, you probably never had the throttle go wide open on you because a spring broke. Something like that. And in reaction to it, they said they only had like 50 feet before he hit that pole, is what I've heard. But I don't know how accurate that is. Okay. So, Pat Attic, broken motor mounts on a pre-70 Ford car or a 60 to 79 Ford truck will pull the throttle wide open before you can say, "Oh crap." Yeah. There's a myriad. How about that? Myriad of things that can happen, and cause problems. But everybody wants to go, "Oh, well, you're an idiot because you didn't know how to shut it off, or push in the clutch, or stand on the brake." It's not that easy. Terry Keithley says, "George got your email. We'll be in touch soon." There you go. Good to hear. Nandu, nothing we can do about getting older is supposed to make us wiser. Yeah, that's the rumor. I think at a certain age you just get grumpier. Rusty's Restoration, Hillberry, and all from Southern Indiana, give a thumbs up. By all means, thank you. James says, "Who's ready to start restoring cars from 1990 to 2010? It's coming when people refuse to buy AI cars in 2027. AI car spy on you. Oh, AI cars spy on you to see if you're okay to drive. Look tired. Car won't start." Yeah, they're actually pushing that pretty hard on these new things, and I have no interest in it. It's crazy what some of that stuff is doing. And then you add in all the extras they want to charge you. Like, you want to use your radio. You want to connect your phone to your radio. Oh, there's an extra fee for that. Or if you want to use an option on your car. Oh, there's an extra fee for that. No. Ain't doing it. I'll keep driving the beaters that I have. I've got the 2007 Honda Fit. I'll keep that thing running as long as I can. I will. Good point, James. Hugh, I got a set of Magnum 500 wheels from a 67. They didn't start producing them until 69. The center caps are expensive. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got a set of wheels, but yeah, all that stuff adds up. Everything seems to be obviously getting more expensive with all the junk going on in the world. That's what I wanted to mention. I talked about it on my Patreon video that I did this past weekend. That Hugh says they will try to eliminate combustion engines before long. They may try that. I don't know if they're going to have good luck with that, because the gas companies need to make money. That's how they make their money, off of these engines. So they're going to probably keep them moving. I wanted to show you something. I used a tool this weekend that I had not used before. and I probably talked about it. So that is the Mexican 302 block that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace. And I wanted to take it apart, and I started messing with it, and I realized that it had a ridge on top of the cylinder walls. And, you can take the piston and just smash it out of there if you want to. Probably not the best way to do it. So I picked this up. Never had one of these. It's one of those tools you only get it, and you may use it one time and never use it again. But this is a cylinder ridge removal tool. And this thing worked fantastic. I didn't even know. I just started Googling, what do I do here to get this out? I never used one of these, never saw one of these before. Or I may have seen one, but not known what it was. And the way it works is, it's got these 3 legs. And you tighten up this bolt here on the top. And these 3 legs expand out. Okay. And on 2 of the legs, it has little rollers right here and a little lip on the top. So those catch on the cylinder wall and guide it to keep it kind of straight and keep it hanging in the cylinder wall. And then the 3rd leg actually has a cutter right there. That cutter is about a little over 1/2 inch long. And it also has a guide kind of down here in the bottom, looks like a little piece of Teflon or something. So what you do is you tighten this up with this upper bolt, and it puts tension on the ridge. And then I used a wrench and rotated this around, and basically just makes a cut, and it cuts that ridge down. And so I did that, and I ended up doing that on all 8 cylinders, even though I had to remove the one. And then the pistons came out real easy after that. So I haven't, gotten very far. I'm just trying to do a little bit here and there when I can. And this was, I think, Saturday night when I was out here staying busy. And what I am going to do is take some measurements and check the bore to see if it's straight. And that'll tell me if I need to go get something machined or not. I'd rather not machine it if I don't have to. If I can hone it and it's clean, I think I'll be okay. But I don't know yet. So I've got to figure that out. And then I've got the crankshaft I'm going to use out of the other engine that I have. And hold on just a second. I had the mini split running, and then I turned it off. And it's getting warm in here. So I'm going back to putting the mini split on. Okay, so I have the crankshaft I'm going to use out of the other engine that I have. And I'll be sort of piecing things together as I can. Because I'm trying to do this on a budget, right? I mean, there's a lot going on, and I can't justify spending tons of money on a passive vehicle, right? It's not like putting a new transmission in my wife's van or something. So I'm going to see what I can pull off. I did get I picked up a set of Edelbrock cylinder heads used, and they've got the bigger valves in them. So I'm going to have to figure out which pistons I need to get. It's going to need a relief for the valve. So I'm going to have to figure that out. And I'm just kind of playing with it. It's not a priority. It's just, I got a couple hours to kill. I'm going to do that. And that's what I've been just kind of playing with it. So anyway, I got the pistons out. That's a start. Art man, I work with several techs who forgot to pump the brake after doing brakes and panic when the pedal sinks to the floor. Saw 2 of them hit something. Yes, that's a concern. And that's another thing that a lot of people just don't realize. That these, like an old vehicle, as an example, my dad's tilt bed that we had at the junkyard. You literally had to pump the brakes about 5 times before you started to get pedal. Now, why? I don't know. I was driving that truck when I was 16, 17 years old. All I knew was when I'm headed down a road and I see a stop sign, I got to start pumping the brakes now. And it'll come to a stop. I know that for a fact. But, like I said, modern vehicles, nobody understands that too much. I mean, like you get it with a change in, doing a brake service. But most modern stuff, you're not going to do this in a 2015 XYZ vehicle. Sit there, I got to pump the brakes before I know I can stop. So, yeah. Scary things can happen. James, conspiracy theory, parts companies going belly up, so parts are hard to find for pre-2010 cars. Deep dive, look up classic car parts apocalypse. Yeah, I've heard some of that. I have. And it's very possible that there is some sort of agenda. I don't know. And I don't know what the answer is, because it's hard for me to put up much of a fight, because I only have so many years left. I'm not saying I don't want to keep that happening or keep the vehicles on the road or all that stuff. But at some point I'm not going to be even driving. And I hate that thought. But there's also the younger generations coming up. A lot of them just don't even have an interest. So whether it's a forced thing or if it's by default, I don't know. Because as we move forward down the timeline, and the younger ones come up, they're not necessarily interested in the cars we're building now. So that's the trade-off. Where do you, how does an industry remain constant if they don't have buyers? So there's a lot to think about in that process. Hugh, I wouldn't say that's a conspiracy theory. I've heard the same thing. A lot of companies selling out. Yep. Hugh's Autolite is a big one. Yeah. Let's see. Julian, do you still need a press pin to remove the piston from the rods? I will. I'm going to have to come up with something. Yeah. Now, the redneck side of me might do some sketchy stuff. But I don't know yet. I mean, I'll probably have to come up. I've got friends who have a shop press, and I could probably create something to press the pins out. Or if they have it, I may just use them. I've got a friend up here who's got a nice shop, and he would probably be more than happy to either help me or show me how to use his tool to press those pins out. So, but I don't have one on hand. Let's put it that way. Don Gilly, I see it now. You're saying that is a ridge reamer, as he's saying here, not a ridge reader. Ridge reamer, cool tool, yeah. And I don't even know if there's a trade name on this thing. Model 36500. There's not even a manufacturer's name on it. It does say made in the USA. But I bought this as a used tool off of Amazon. Yes, you can buy used tools off of Amazon. So, came in very handy. Pat Attic, I remember you saying last week about tools you loaned out and forgot about them. I have no idea where I don't know how you say that, Lyle Ridge Reamer is right now. Yeah. Well, somebody sold it on Amazon. I bought it. George Burns, I believe that's a Lyle, there we go, brand Ridge Reamer. I bought one about a month ago to remove the ridge on my 289. When I started my rebuild, worked great. Probably the only time I will use it. Yeah. So, like I said, there's no name on it. that I could see. Nothing. But let me tell you, that's a really cool design when you think about it. Having the roller wheels, the ridge, to catch the top and all that stuff. Genius. Thank you, George. Hugh, big difference between a technician and a mechanic. Technicians have to have a computer tell you the problem. A mechanic figures it out on their own. They teach kids how to read a computer. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. And that's funny you mentioned that, because when I posted a video about the tranny tunnel, putting that in, and I put a caption in there, and I said, many people don't realize that I was a sheet metal mechanic for 30 years for Delta. And some guy commented, he's like, "What's a sheet metal mechanic?" And I had to explain to him that that's a common term in the aircraft industry, because we're all mechanics. We were all mechanics. They've changed it now to technician, right? They don't like the term mechanic because it's too blue collar. So I explained to him that there's different mechanics do different things. Even though I'm certified to work on any part of the aircraft, my skill set, my specialty skill set, was sheet metal. So I was titled as a sheet metal mechanic. If you were in charge of hydraulics, you were a hydraulic mechanic. If you were in charge of whatever, engine, you were an engine mechanic. That's how they broke us into categories. And so I had to explain to the person, well then, I think that person ended up like deleting their comment because they felt like an idiot. But the fact of the matter is, they break it down by what your primary skill set is. So, I mean, eventually went on to operate vacuum furnaces and work on engine components and parts and stuff like that. But I was still technically a sheet metal mechanic. But now they call everybody maintenance technicians. This is a maintenance technician. This is a maintenance technician. What do you do? I work on engines. Oh, okay. I mean, make everybody the same, right? Dave Tyson, back in the day of drum brakes, pumping brakes was the norm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was pretty common. Michael Pagliarini, good evening all. Lots of car parts are getting harder to find, and the quality control is not there anymore. Several manufacturers have gone bankrupt, and nobody's picking up the slack. And that is unfortunate. Julian, if I get some time the next couple weeks, I'll make one. Oh, okay. Sounds good. Dave Tyson, heat up the piston with a torch. Yeah, that'll help. That'll help. Hugh, I've always used a socket to remove wrist pins on pistons. Well, that was my default answer, would be a socket. I know they make one that has a center, to keep it centered and all that, because you don't want it to kick sideways. You actually want it to go inside the sleeve and hold it, and so it can't kick out on you. But that's typically what I would use the socket. Let's see, James. If I watch installing wrist pins, I blow torch the connecting rod. Pin will slide out. Don't heat the pin, just small end of rod. Yeah. Yep. Julian, not a theory. First brands got in trouble with the law, and they owned a lot of the big companies. Wix filter was a big one. Cooking the books. There you go. Yeah, there's a lot of sketchy stuff going on. When you think about it, like hooker headers is no longer hooker headers. The Holley, Holley, the main company, owns like hooker headers now. They also own XYZ, WQ, whatever. They own so many names of former companies that are all under their roof now. And so, like when you say I'm getting a set of hooker headers, well, you're getting hooker headers that are made or sold through Holley now. Stuff like that. And it's hard to say who all belongs to who anymore. It just becomes a giant umbrella of companies. Rick Aiden says, I would trust a mechanic before a technician any day. Yeah, there you go. Julian says, do a search on first brands. And Pat Attic, heat is your friend with those wrist pins. Pressing them off without the centering tool is sketchy. Even the broken pistons are very possible. Even then, broken pistons are possible. Yeah. Well, the pistons that I'm removing, they're not going to be, used. I just need the connecting rods. But I understand what you're saying. Yeah. And I have to figure out which pistons I want to get and whether I'm going to have to get this thing bored. So right now it's not a priority to get that apart. I don't really gain anything other than I'll probably balance the connecting rods, and when I get the new pistons, I'll balance them as well. Trying to make everything as smooth as I can. Pet Attic, my Mustang garage. Yes, that's the way. Yep. Talking about the heat. Art Man, oof, I'm an AA technician. I was an auto mechanic 20 years ago. The terms didn't change. Mechanics learn and grow to be technicians. Well, I know they changed the terms at Delta because we were all mechanics for the longest time. And then they decided to change the terminology to technician. So it's here or there. It doesn't matter. Everybody knows what they're doing, especially when it comes to, or I say everybody, most everybody knows what they're doing in aviation maintenance. But yeah, that's become the just a blanket term is technician, and even like they still have machinists. They call them machinists, but they're more operators than machinists in a sense, because most of them know how to load up pieces and parts into a machine and program it, do the touch offs, and make the machine operate. And a lot of them don't know, like if they were given an old school machine and they had to do the same process, they would probably destroy the part. So I mean that's true. That's pretty factual there, because I've seen it. I've actually seen parts get destroyed by somebody who didn't understand how to make things operate. They understand how to program it, but they didn't know how do I do it if I don't have a computer telling me what to do, and they destroyed the part. So yeah. Even today, Art, they're changing auto mechanics to technicians. You don't see them labeled as a mechanic. You see them labeled as technicians. You go to a dealership and they'll say, yeah, these are our technicians. So it's just a term. George Burns, King bearings, Hastings rings, Mellencam, sealed power pistons, etc. Less than $850 for everything you need. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm going to have to come up with pieces and parts and go down the list of all that. James, my dad balanced a piston and rods with a precision scale and a belt sander within 0.01 of a gram. Yeah, when I built the race engine for the stock car, a friend of mine who was a Chevy guru, he had the scales and he had all the stuff. And so when I built that engine, I went to him and we did the same thing. We balanced out the rods, balanced out the pistons, and that engine screamed. I mean, it was incredible how quick that thing rotated and developed power, So those little things pay off. You don't think about it. We always think, surely it's close enough. Probably not. Take the pistons and weigh them out. See which one's the lightest one, and then lighten up the others until they all match. Same way with your connecting rods. Assemble them, put them on the scale, figure out what the weight mass is, and adjust accordingly. So it does make a difference, a huge difference. Okay. So as I was saying earlier in the live stream, the past week I've been working on my daughter's Honda CRV. And I had a collision shop for 7 years, and we did some restoration work. So I'm very familiar with the processes, but sometimes it actually helps. Like I'm waiting on the header situation to be resolved on the Mustang, and I've got the tunnel in and all that sort of thing. But it was sort of nice to. I didn't want to have to work on her car like that. Didn't want to by any means, but it was kind of a nice little break, because collision work is almost completely different than restoration work, as we know. You can do so much with a fender or a hood or something from one of these new cars or newer cars. If fender's out of shape, you can just grab it and push it right back into the shape that it needs to be in. So, and then I didn't have any room to paint. So the paint booth, it has my Mustang in it, my Mach 1, and a bunch of boxes. So I had to move everything out, and I basically had a footprint of about 8 feet by 12 feet to spray parts in. So I had to spray. I did the bumper by itself, and then I did the hood all by itself, because I couldn't get them both in there and comfortably get around them at the same time. But everything's painted now, and I should be getting the rest of the parts. Hopefully get the headlights at least tomorrow, and I don't know where the grill pieces are yet. They're on their way, but I want to get it back and get it done so I can get my little car back. I drive that little red Honda Fit because it gets great gas mileage, and it's like driving a big go-kart, and I miss it. I miss it. Jerry's Garage and Money Pit. Good evening to all from Middle Tennessee. Thumbs up. Thank you, Jerry. Rick, a friend built the 302 for my Mustang over 20 years ago now. Engine still runs like a scalded dog. Starts on half turn of the key. That's awesome. Dave Tyson, nice change of pace. Yeah, it actually was. I mean, a collision job is so much quicker. It's if you've done it before and you know how to do things, you can do it pretty quick, as long as it's not extreme, like having a bent frame rail, which nothing was bent. So that's a big bonus. Art, yes, I'm an automotive technician. We're able to diagnose and repair, and generally think of mechanics as part changers and parts cannon operators, or new to the automotive field. Okay. I mean, I get it. I'm fine being whatever. I mean, I'm a mechanic, technician, handyman. It doesn't really matter to me. It's just terms we use to kind of describe what we do. Auto Dynamics 01, do you know what radiator you're going with? I actually just bought one off of Amazon. For the, are you talking about for the Honda? Is that what we're asking about? I just ordered one off of Amazon. We're undecided yet on the Mustang radiator, how that's going to end up. So we haven't figured that out just yet, but that's coming. Rick, will part of the damaged hood from the old Honda be patches for a floor pan and future project? No, I fixed the hood. It had just a few dents on the front, and so I straightened them out. Used some fillers, got them nice and clean, and primed and painted it. So yeah, it's good to go. The only thing I had to replace, I mean, I did not replace any body panels. The fenders were not even bent. The hood was fine once I fixed the dents, and the bumper cover is the main thing, in the grill, and of course the radiator and condenser. But that's fine. Jerry, I'm getting ready to weld the front frame rails on my 66. Any suggestions? Prep work. I know you've already been down this road, but I've done demonstrations on how I set the frame rails, and on the Brooklyn Pony in particular, I demonstrated that with the square tubing to show the angle and measurements. So that should help. But really, it's just prep work, getting the holes ready, cleaned up, and burning them in nice and solid. That's about all I can offer. Terry Keithley, no, you're Joe's daddy. Yeah, that's right. Accurate. James, in 3 weeks I'll be posting videos of front frame rail installation on the 67 Mustang convertible. Cool. Looking forward to that. Rick A. and I repaired collision damage on a Volkswagen Jetta 3 times in 1 year. Same car. Friend kept totaling it. Insurance kept paying. Junkyard for the win. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Aftermarket parts. Cheap. But I will say this. When I do repair work like I did on her car, I use CAPA certified stuff. I'm either junkyard OE parts or CAPA certified. So like the bumper brace that goes in front, or bumper bar, you can buy one for $50 or you can buy one for $100. The difference is the $50 one is made a little better than the fender on that car. It is just there. It is cosmetic. Whereas the CAPA certified one it's supposed to match the factory dimensions and strength of the original piece. So don't be fooled by that whenever you think, oh, this one's only $50. Well, there's a reason for that. It's a piece of tin, whereas the other one has structural, integrity. So just keep that in mind when you're doing stuff like that. Autodynamics says the Mustang. Yeah, we haven't gotten that far. I mean, we have a radiator for it, but we have to look at how this is going to play out with the hoses and all that stuff. So there may be a change in direction. We'll see. There's still time. But, yeah. Okay. I've been at this for 57 and a half minutes, and I'm gonna say that's long enough for tonight. As I said, I'm putting together her car. I'm making a time-lapse type of video on that. And I did hear from Sal, as I mentioned earlier in the live stream. And he should be, if all goes well, be shipping headers, hopefully, by mid to late June. And I'll point out that this next Monday I may not be here. This is Memorial Day weekend coming up, and we go to visit friends over at the lake, so we're going to be doing that. And Monday may not be here because most people aren't going to want to hang out here on Monday nights, I don't think. So we'll have to skip a week, I think, is how that's going to work. Let me make sure the math is right, because we'll be also heading out. So yeah, I should be here June 1st. So we'll just plan for being back June 1st rather than May 25th. I think that makes more sense. So that'll be it for tonight. I do want to thank everyone for being here and participating. You make it all worthwhile and just hanging out and talk about stuff. So I'll get something together, like I said, for another video. It'll probably be the Honda coming up. But we'll see what happens with Sal, and I'll try to update that as well. But that'll be it for tonight. So until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.
Just give me something to start with. A little rest is fine. I'll give you many hours, a minute at a time. I don't care where you came from, but I want you to know I may have to start over. I'm learning as I go. When I'm done, I'll be the one to take you down the road. We'll leave behind our troubles and everyone will